said tomorrow when she called me, but you're right, it's always on Thursday. She said tomorrow. I'll send her an email.
Like when we have a presentation, can we just at least do that?
We're going to call the St. Croix County Administration Committee meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Chair Burning.
Present.
Vice Chair Counter.
Present.
Supervisor Long.
Here.
Supervisor Shirley.
Present.
And Supervisor Fiedler.
Not yet.
Not yet. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of the minutes. Are there any additions, changes, corrections? Any additions or changes? Looking good? All right, hearing none, we'll consider the minutes approved. Public comment? Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Any public comment? All right, we'll close that portion of the agenda and we will move on to our business items. Number 1, financial report for November of 2025. Dustin.
Thank you, Chair Burning. So we're 11 months in, we have about a month left. The admin accounts don't really have anything that comes in late after the fact, so we're pretty up to date. We have 1 month left. If we look at our tax payments, we'll notice a big drop in the September tax collections. It went from 1.4 million to about 850,000. Hopefully it's not a trend we're seeing, and hopefully October picks back up, but something we'll keep our eye on. Was there any specific questions in the financial reports at all?
Any questions for the finance director? Supervisor Counter?
Just one quick, do you see any trends or other than that one that we should be cautious of or something that we should be looking for? We're kind of towards the end of the year now, so.
Yeah, the one I was going to point out for both you and the county board would be liability insurance. We're over by a couple $100,000 right now. So it's both the rising premiums. I mean, we've been seeing 10 to 30% increases in premiums the last few years. So the amount that we have reserved to cover expenses is decreasing, and this is a higher year for expenses. So we have a sizable fund balance within the liability insurance fund, and this will be maybe the second down year out of the last 5. So it happens, but this will be a down year.
Any other questions for either Dustin or the administrator? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Number 2, consideration of tax deed bid. I'll turn it over to our county clerk.
Oh, sorry. So I'm just back with what was a continuation, what was tabled to this meeting from October on a bid we received on a property owned by the county in the city of New Richmond. It is on sale for ongoing sale on our website. And we did add it with the value set at $750. We did receive a bid for $750, and I believe Supervisor Counter wanted to table this until this meeting to do a little research and speak with the city of New Richmond about that.
I can bring up, I did, after our previous meeting last month when we tabled this, I did call and I spoke with both Beth and with Michelle Scallion, the clerk, and both of them took all the information that I gave them and told them about the concerns and said, well, we'll look into it and see what we can do. And so I did the follow-up and told them that we did table it till this month. And today, before the meeting here, I did call Michelle and talk to Michelle Scallion, the city clerk. And as of the date today, they haven't done anything with it. So they haven't tried to contact, they haven't been able to do anything with it. And I said, well, I told her up front. I said, tonight's the meeting. We have to have a decision where we're going with this. And if you don't have anything or any reason to have us hold this back, we're probably going to let this go unless you have a reason and can give me that you're working towards changing this. And she said, well, really, we don't at this point. So that's where we're at. So I think we did due diligence by trying to make phone contact with the city to do this, both today and after the last meeting. So I think we did everything in our power to where we can be, and we have to stay to our statutory obligation that we can't hold these properties. So that's where we stand. I would make a motion then to approve this tax deed sale,
Approve or accept?
to accept. Thanks.
Okay, motion by Counter, second by Long. Discussion? Yep, Supervisor Long.
And if you can remind me, is the purchaser an adjacent
No.
landowner, or
He is not.
it's just such an odd piece of property?
Yeah, it's all that green space around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picnics.
He knows, I've discussed with him, he knows that, that it's his it's being sold as is, and it's his responsibility to investigate what he can and can't do on that property.
All right, any other discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to accept the tax deed bid signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion is approved unanimously. Number 3, report on HHS immunization postcards funding source. And Administrator Witt, if you'll take this
Yeah,
one.
I'll give you a brief overview, and then Bob Rohrt is here. So the vaccinating postcards have been going out for 15, 20 years. We've been sending them. 2 years ago, we switched how we were doing it. Instead of doing it internally and paying for it, we contracted with a company in Toronto who gets paid then by Pfizer to do it. So they do it at no cost for the county. For Pfizer, the benefit is they sell vaccines, so the more people that get vaccines, there's an indirect cost for that. They do have a disclaimer on the bottom, which I think is what caught people's attention. Pfizer says they're not doing this for any direct benefit. And they don't have a direct benefit, they have an indirect benefit. But that's what the cards are for. That's how long we've been doing it, and that's the process currently that we have. If you have more specific questions, HHS Director Rohrit's here to answer them.
Are there any questions for the director? Are there any questions for the director?
I do.
Supervisor Shirley?
So if I'm getting it right, reading through the agreement and the paperwork that was in their packet, so we're actually the ones that are sending out the postcard, or are we providing the data to the company for them to send out?
We provide the minimal information to the company that sends out the postcards. It's the same information that we get from the Wisconsin Immunization Registry that we use to send out reminder postcards to families where their kids might be due for a CDC recommended vaccination. So they're just providing the service of mailing the same postcard that we would have mailed. And they have a contractual agreement with Pfizer not to share any private data with them. We have a contract with Wisconsin Immunization Registry, a data privacy agreement. So there's no protected health information shared. It's just the funding for the postcards gets paid for through Pfizer. It saves us a few bucks.
Right. I'm not sure how I feel about having a third party group sending out something that looks like we sent it out. So it's on our letterhead and has our logo, but the public perception is that we're sending it out and it says paid for by Pfizer. So it's a bad. I understand how it works and how the process goes, and at the end of the day, it does save us money because we're not sending it out ourselves. But public perception on this isn't good.
One thing I would say, Supervisor, is that if people don't want to receive these postcards, they can opt out of it. We found out, though, by looking at the postcard itself, that it doesn't give instructions for that. So anyone can, until we fix that, anyone can just call our department and we'll take them off the mailing. But that was the reason why we did it, was to save costs. We're not sharing additional information with either the Indorado or certainly not Pfizer, but they pay for it for the reason Ken said.
Hold on one second.
Okay. I guess I would ask that. Can we ask them to put that disclaimer, and not disclaimer, but the opt out on the postcard?
Yes, yeah, we plan to do that. It's just something none of us caught, that there was no instructions on the postcard for how to opt out. But that's our intention, is to do that, yeah. And in the meantime, anyone can just call us and say, we don't want to receive these anymore, and then we'll take them off the list. It's our public health division that provides that list of reminder cards to Interado. And we only provide them with the address and the name, first name of the child.
Are you good, Supervisor Shirley?
I'm good for now. I'm interested to see what other people say.
Okay. Supervisor Counter, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Just kind of the same thing, just bouncing off of what Supervisor Shirley was talking about. Would it be of a benefit to us, because if we have our logo and Pfizer's the actual sender, that we would have also some form of disclaimer that this is, would this be a benefit to us? And kind of directing a little bit to the Corp Council on that one, but the concern is just that we ensure that there is some separation there, that, we're not, it doesn't look like we're in partnership with them, but that this is a public service that's being done through them on I don't know, however you would want to draft language, that it just protects the county.
I believe there is a disclaimer on the postcard that explains Pfizer's role. It was up there. I just didn't read it in time on that link. Yeah, if you click on one of those, click on the first postcard there, Ken, and then you scroll down, it has right there where it explains that Pfizer gets no patient identifying information.
Is that the only place that says Pfizer, is in the disclaimer?
I think so, but I could be wrong.
That was my take on it, is they are our postcards. Public Health is the one that's requesting this. So they are our postcards. We're just having someone else pay for it. So, and the only reason that anyone knows anyone else is paid for it is because we made sure they had a disclaimer on there. Because if we were taking their money, we want to disclose that.
Any other questions for Director Rohrt? Yeah, Supervisor Long, you're
Actually,
recognized.
yeah, I don't have a question, but I think what Supervisor Shirley brought up is important to make sure that they have the option to opt out. But once that option's there, as I read through all the information in the packet, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to continue to do this, so we don't have to pay for it. As long as there's distinction between Pfizer and the county, and as long as there's an option to opt out, I think this is acceptable.
Okay. Anyone else seeking recognition? I do have a question. Are we statutorily obligated to send these out? Are all county public health departments statutorily obligated?
It's included in our contract with the Wisconsin Immunization Registry. Heather, are we obligated to, or do we have the option to? I'm not sure.
There is in Wisconsin Administrative Code DHS 144.09 the requirement that public health departments undertake a surveillance system designed to detect occurrences of vaccine preventable diseases. And so they do have public health does have a requirement to address vaccinations and immunizations. Do I know for sure if they're required to send out this specific card? I did not research that, but I can research that and get an answer. But local boards of health and public health departments are required to address vaccinations and immunizations for children.
But not necessarily, like, we don't know, as of right now, you didn't do the research because nobody asked you. If you would be so kind and just, if you'd email me, that'd be great.
I can.
Or if we could have a conversation on that.
Yes.
Maybe bring it back to the next meeting as well. So we'll put that on the agenda for next meeting. Is there any other questions for Director Bart? Any further discussion? Questions? Okay. Thanks, Bob. Have a Merry Christmas. Thank you. All right, so we'll go on to number 4, consideration of amending county board rules to add municipal clerks to notification list for county board supervisory vacancies. Administrator Witt.
Yeah, and I believe it was Supervisor Counter that asked for this one, so. Yeah.
If you want to speak to it.
Thank you.
Supervisor Counter.
Well, the reason I put that, or the consideration for this particular amendment is just keeping with transparency to make sure that the municipalities are aware that there's a vacancy within their municipality for a county position, because currently the requirement is just the chairman. And the problem is if that particular person on a town board is out of town, or the mayor or whomever, that word might not get disseminated, where if the clerk is made aware of it, they would hopefully be able to disseminate that to their entire board or the council. So it's about transparency. Our clerk has been doing this, but it's just something that I want to bring up that I think would be a benefit for transparency for when this comes about again.
Is there a motion to bring this forward?
I would so move to bring this amendment forward.
So that's a motion to amend the county board rules to add municipal clerks to notification list for county board supervisory vacancies. Is there a second to this? Second by Supervisor Long. Discussion. Is there discussion on this? Anybody? As I click my tongue there. Oh, Corporation Counsel.
I just wanted to clarify where this would be added. I believe in section 1 or Article 1, section G3A, after the term, it says mayor of any city, the president of any village, the chair of any town, comma, and the clerk of any district's municipality. So it goes to any municipal clerk. Okay. Thank you.
And this will have to be drafted as a resolution and brought back next month anyways. So you'll see the exact wording that she selects.
Thank you.
So do we want to vote on it then, or is it like more discussion?
No, I mean, we need to know what you want changed. So if
Okay.
there is an agreement now, let's not waste Heather's time drafting it. But if you agree to it, we'll get it legally drafted up, and then there'll be a formal vote next month.
Yeah.
In the form of a resolution to adopt.
Okay, so since we have a motion, we'll vote on it. Is there any further discussion on this prior to the vote? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion is approved unanimously. Number 5, consideration of amending county board rules to require the county board chair to provide a list of all applicants, along with person appointed to fill county board supervisory vacancies. I believe Supervisor Shirley brought this one up. Do you want to do a preamble for us as to why you brought this up, and then maybe bring a motion with that if
Sure.
you'd like it?
Yeah, I guess my point was, I know we have it in there that the chair will recommend for vacancies. But I think having knowledge of who the other candidates were is, at least we know what all the information that's out there. So my thought was that we would have the whole board would know not only who they are, but ideally the information that was submitted. And my point was not only for county board vacancies, but for any of the appointed positions, whether it's an appointment by the administrator or by the board chair, that we get that information for across kind of all appointments that we're doing countywide.
Do you want, okay, so I'm sorry, Corporation Counsel, is this for discussion?
Correct.
We
this
do
is
not
discussion.
need a motion at this point?
If you want to add it, I was just trying to contemplate the second part of Supervisor Shirley's comments about the other appointments of the county administrator, because those are not specifically addressed in the board rules. So I'm thinking about that.
Okay. How long do you need?
I just don't think
Yeah,
the board.
Supervisor Long. Yeah, I'm going to recognize Supervisor Long.
Thank you. Okay, so having been through this process 3 times in the last couple months, it's been an interesting process. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've interviewed hundreds of people in my professional career. And getting some basic information like a resume really is just a small piece of what the considerations need to be. So a lot of that really comes out in the interview process. So you get a much better idea of what that person's all about. I mean, I've seen some resumes that were absolutely stellar, and then you get in the interview process and it's like, there's some issues there. And my real concern is a lot of times those issues are very intangible, and they're not necessarily, wouldn't be appropriate to discuss those issues in public. So I'm very concerned about this because if you provide the board with names and other information, that's only one piece of the puzzle. And really what you're doing is inviting skepticism, you're inviting doubt and mistrust about the process. So it's almost like you're micromanaging the chair. And, let's be honest, I think I found the process really works well, and I don't think the process is the problem. I think the problem is there are certain individuals who don't trust me. So, and I'm okay with that. I'm not offended, okay? But it's not the process that's the problem. So I hate to make a change in the process for the wrong reason. All right, you'll have a new chair come April, okay? And hopefully you'll be able to trust that person a little bit more for whatever reason. I don't know, and I don't really care. But I think this is the wrong thing to do. And I think we're changing a sound process for all the wrong reasons. And I really do not believe we should make this change.
Okay, is there any other discussion or comments? Any discussion? Yes, I'm going to call on Corporation Counsel.
I have the answer to your question. So the second half of Supervisor Shirley's request regarding the appointments that the county administrator makes, those are by statute, Wisconsin Statute 5918-2C. So I don't believe the board in its rules could direct the county administrator to provide that information, but he could so choose to do so.
I have a
Really easy. I
question
never
for
had more than-
Corporation Counsel. Does it expressly prohibit us from doing so?
No, it does not expressly prohibit you from requesting the county administrator to provide that information.
Yeah, so what, is there anything in case law or anything that would prevent us from doing so? And I'm not asking you to research that now, but I think that would be important to know.
I believe obviously the county administrator could provide that information. Some information may be redacted, such as their address and telephone number, personal email address, just for privacy reasons, but the resume, when we upload those to a county board packet, typically we redact that information anyway.
Okay, very cool. Is there any other discussion on this subject? Supervisor Counter?
I guess one of the concerns that want to think about on this is if we're taking this information, which is, how we're collecting, I know it's being brought forward for a position, but in the case of it being potentially detrimental to somebody's being publicized, and all of a sudden we're taking this information in and we're making it public, does that put us in a peril for liability or anything like that for, even though he provided the information, but if it comes up that it's negatively influenced, would it put the county in any peril?
I think there's a couple things. One, if candidates know that their information will be readily available to other county board supervisors prior to the recommendation coming forward, they might have a chilling effect on them wanting to apply. I'm trying to think of other balancing test reasons. So in the context of employees, when we have employees that are finalists for, let's say, department heads, it only applies when they're to a certain stage and a certain number of people. So we could compare that statute to this request. But there could be pros and cons. I understand Supervisor Shirley wanting the information to help him make a decision, but it may provide a chilling effect on people applying, knowing that they're going to be scrutinized by the full county board before they even interview with the board chair.
Yeah, Supervisor Long, you're recognized.
Yeah, and I think the other thing by, really challenging the chair's recommendation, not only would the chair not necessarily be able to provide information as to why they made the recommendation or why they did not recommend other people, I think you're all of a sudden moving back into the process that we used to have, where the whole county board would look at all these people and would vote. And it was a circus. It was absolute chaos. And it was an awful process. And you don't want to go back to that process. And having been through this, I can say that this is a sound process. Now, if someone wants to be more involved, then the thing to do would be, as the recommendation is made, address the board chair on a private level and talk to them before the board meeting and say, I want to see who else applied and I'd like to see the information and why you decided to make this recommendation. That would be great. That would be perfectly acceptable. And I would have loved to have done that in all three of these scenarios, but I didn't hear from anybody. So that would be my suggestion as to if someone doesn't trust the chair, talk to him ahead of time and get the information.
Yeah, would something like that be permissible? Like if 18 of us went one-on-one with the chair prior to? Well, I mean, you got to plan for
Yeah.
the possibility of 18, so. Bro, come on. Administrator Witt, sorry. Yes, that is true. 17 if if this is the case. 16 if it's 2, 15 if it's 3, et cetera, et cetera.
I would say yes, one-on-one, yes, that would be acceptable.
Okay, like 1-on-1 times 15?
Correct, as long
Okay.
as you're not all discussing together what your action is going to be at the board meeting,
Okay.
then there's no violation of open meetings law.
Yep, because you're not coming to any decisions.
And the statute I was referring to before was 19.367 that indicates that a final candidate's information can be released if it's an appointment for a local public office. So if there's more than 5 applicants, you can't release more than 5 applicants. It has to be 5 or less, and they have to be final candidates. So there might be a lot of things we would have to work out if this information were to be provided, but there is a statute that addresses when their information can be released.
And I would just like to take a moment and address just some things that Chairman Long had stated. I don't believe that there's anything wrong with what Supervisor Shirley's asking for. And I do agree with you, though, Mr. Chair, that the process prior to these changes was could be somewhat of a circus. It was witnessed many times on YouTube by myself. So I agree with you. I would, though, just say that if it's just going to be something where there's got to be some sort of maybe middle ground or something to know what we are voting as a weight against or for, in the sense that the chair is still coming to us, the other 17, 16, 15, et cetera, to approve or not approve the candidate that you brought forward. And so I would say I think being open to something like this, because like you said, there will be a new chair in April. And having something like this allows the board, who is obligated to take a vote to confirm or deny the appointment, there's got to be some sort of middle ground or compromise on providing more, at least baseline information on maybe maybe not necessarily the full resume, but something. And I do agree with you too, one-on-one, as long as it's allowed and we're not coming to consensus, is a good way. But I would say that I was not voted in this seat to just vote yes. If we're going to do that, then let's just get rid of the confirmation vote, because that's still a vote that's on myself and my fellow supervisors' record. So I don't know. I think there could be some sort of middle ground on this, maybe a list of the candidates, or because that's public. Is that not correct, Heather? At least who has applied is public?
If there are at least 5 applicants, each of the 5 applicants who are considered the most qualified could be released. When there are fewer than 5 applicants, each applicant.
And who's the caretaker of that? Is that the county clerk?
Correct.
Okay, and so that I hate to bring you in on this, but in the process then, it sounds as if the application is submitted to the county clerk and the resume, and then the county clerk gets with the county board chair, and from there they deem who are the finalists, in this case statutorily the final 5. If there's like 7, what's the process for that?
Well, just to be honest, I've had, if these last 2 appointments, I've had county board supervisors come to me and ask me for the information that was submitted. I mean, it's kind of like an open records request. It's not made public. It's not on our, it's not in the packet as, could be, but, and I've given that information to them, to Supervisor Shirley and maybe a couple others, but it's definitely something that's been asked.
And there's been less than 5 in each of the times that
Yeah.
it's been requested. So then my advice to Christina was she could release them with redactions to their personal information because there were less than 5.
So at what point do you consider that there's finalists then? Because I think that again, that's a gray line of like, when does that point meet? Is it a week out from the appointment? Is it when the agenda's set? I mean, again, I'm like looking, I'm sorry, I sometimes hate to be that guy, but in this case, like, when does it become where if there are 7 applicants, oh no, the 2 that we released already aren't finalists?
we've probably not had that situation recently.
No.
We haven't, and because I think Supervisor Long is the one who interviews them, he would be the one to determine who he's going to forward and recommend. I don't know that he's ever made a list that, I know if there's 7, these are how they go in order. He can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever got to that point where there's been more than 5 applicants since I've taken over as Corp Counsel in 2022.
So it sounds as if though you are like the safeguard at that point, and I would imagine you're not just going to start like 3-4 weeks out releasing applicants until you get to maybe a final. Is that guided by state statute, or is that just, again, I don't know. I'm looking at, maybe I'm beating a dead horse on this or getting too in the weeds, but I'm just thinking like we got 5 applicants, 10 days out, and then 7 applicants, 7 days out. When is that cutoff of like, these are the 5 that we can, when a supervisor requests, we can release that information?
Yes, so there is an application deadline. You know, people have to apply by this date certain. Once the day has passed, then I understand that the county clerk submits them to the county board chair.
Then that's the point, because if there's less than 5, the 5 finalists are figured out. And it's the county clerk's obligation to protect that until 5 finalists are.
And they're submitted to both myself and the chair at the same time from the interested party.
Okay.
So we both always have that information. And then at the cutoff date is when he and I might discuss setting up to meet with all of them. He's never not met with everyone who's submitted interest.
Corporation Counsel, what is your recommendation in this?
Well, first and foremost, the statute that is referenced in 3B, 5910-3E, that cannot be modified. That's the state law. In regards to releasing the information, I would have no issue with it legally as long as we're complying with the 19.36 per 7 regarding the identities of applicants for public positions. Otherwise, it's a policy decision for the board to make. But as long as we're not releasing the identities of the applicants for public positions that is, you know, in violation of 19.367, then legally, then it would be acceptable.
So then the other question for you is, you referenced that this would make someone skittish to apply if they were already in. Where's the logic? I'm just wondering, I'm not trying to be like a smart aleck here, but in all seriousness, you're applying to be like a public official that takes public votes, but you don't want your application to be, want it to be known that your application's out there. I don't understand the logic behind how that could ice someone out. And if you have like a serious explanation on that, I would love to hear it.
And so what I can do, there is an attorney general opinion regarding final candidates and the 5 most qualified and how that all came about. So I can send you the attorney general opinion. I haven't read the whole thing. There may also be case law regarding the chilling effect on applicants and if their information is out there. So
Okay.
if you don't need the answer today, I can then send you 5 the
Yeah.
information.
No,
or
if you
the
can,
whole.
yeah, if you can send that to us, I think that would help all of us in this. I totally, if there's valid, you know, reason and logic, and in this case, it sounds like case law behind it, I could see that. So, so what do we do?
I guess if I could say one more thing.
Yes, you're recognized.
I don't think that it's an issue where people are not trusting the chair. In my opinion, it is you're bringing a candidate forward as a recommendation. You're asking for our vote. So at a certain level, I have to make sure that I'm comfortable with that vote. But if I don't know who the other candidates are, and I don't know more information, how am I supposed to make a determination on that other than you say that the board chair says that they're recommending them? So that's where this all kind of came from. So I guess in my opinion, after talking through this a little bit, having the information, the application information from the other candidates, and then maybe not just a recommendation from the board chair, but like some kind of a write-up in our packet of I've chosen this person because, or whatever. I mean, if we're gonna make, let's say there's three or four candidates, if we're gonna release this information so that everybody knows who they are and what and about them, then if the board chair is making a recommendation, I need a reason why, is I guess my point. And then we'll as individuals on the rest of the board, we have to make that determination of, is that the right answer or not? So, and then I think that still goes back to whether it's board chair or the administrator. But I think the process is correct. Having the board chair make the recommendation is the correct move. I mean, I don't want to move back to where it was before, like everybody else has said. I want to make sure that we're making sound decisions.
Go ahead, Chair or Supervisor Long.
Well, you mentioned not being comfortable, or if you wanted to be comfortable, well, basically your lack of comfort is a lack of trust. That's where it really comes down to. And a lot of times the reasons that a board chair might recommend someone or not recommend others is not appropriate to be discussed in public. And I want to emphasize that really importantly, because I've had situations in all three of these districts where there was someone who I didn't want to recommend, and there's no way that I would want to tell the board, give the board that information. It would be totally inappropriate. And then the board chair is going to sit there and go, oh, well, I can't really discuss why I didn't want to recommend that person. And then we get right back to where we were at the last process. So your lack of comfort is a lack of trust, and you've got to get over that. That's your board chair. You're not going to contend the board chair's a committee appointment in April, right? You're going to trust that the board chair is going to make the right call. In this kind of a situation, you just can't bring that discussion to the floor in a public area, in the public meeting. It's just not the right thing to do.
Okay.
I guess if I could respond to that.
Supervisor Shirley, you're recognized.
Um,
But just know
I mean,
that,
why-
really quick, Supervisor
why-
Shirley, know that this is the last discussion point, and then we're going to try to come to some sort of
Yeah.
consensus on what we want to do. Oh, hello,
Yeah.
Supervisor Fiedler has just joined us. Hello, Supervisor Fiedler. Since
evening.
Supervisor Fiedler has just joined, allow me to retract my last statement and say that we will allow Supervisor Fiedler to join in on the discussion. But Supervisor Shirley, you're recognized at this time.
To Supervisor Long's points, I understand that, but if you're looking for a confirmation on that, on an appointment, we have to have an informed decision on that. Otherwise, why do a confirmation vote? I mean, we might as well at that point just allow the board chair to recommend somebody and that's it. Like, why have a vote if we're not going to make an informed decision? So that's the point of it. It's not a trust or a mistrust thing. It's that I want to have the information so that I know that what I'm saying yes to is the appropriate action. And I'm not looking for like a reason or a listing of why you didn't recommend this person or that person. If we have the list of who applied and then you're making your recommendation to the board, tell us why. I mean, it's your purview to recommend a person, but it's also as the board chair, your duty to tell us why you think that person is better than everybody else. And I'm not saying that you need to say bad things about the other people, just say why this person is better.
I'm going to give Supervisor Fiedler a chance to chime in on this discussion.
I have read the materials, and of course, I agree with what's in A for an amendment. That'd be fine. I have no problem with an explanation of why a person is being nominated.
All right. He is an elected official I think everybody loves. Very brief and to the point. Is there any further discussion on this? Because I'd like to make sure that Supervisor Fiedler hears anything else. And I don't think we have a motion yet, but I don't think we need one because I think we just need to come to some sort of consensus on what, if we would like anything to come back to vote on next meeting. Am I correct, Corporation Counsel?
Correct.
Thank you. Supervisor Counter, would you say something? No, I'm just kidding. I'll recognize you.
Thanks. After hearing this, I'm hearing both sides, but Supervisor Burning, you brought up, maybe there's some middle ground on this where it makes sense to identify a means to have discussion with the chair, so that those discussions, you can do these discussions and have that identified, so we're made aware of that. But then we wouldn't necessarily have to go the route to publicize everything and make it as, so I think it sounded like that's where you were talking about a little bit, but.
Yeah, possibly.
But I would like to at least explore some of these other avenues before we make any kind of a hardline decision on something like where we're at right now.
I think we also need to look at the possibility of like this case law of like icing people out, and if there were court cases on that, we got to be cognizant of all that too as we're putting this in here. So I would say, oh man, how do you, I don't know, I think I shouldn't have stopped drinking coffee this weekend. Supervisor Long.
Or Troy. I think your point, Supervisor Shirley, is absolutely correct, that it is up to the chair to make sure he's justifying the recommendation without a doubt. And then I think that we need to make sure that it's clear to the entire board that information on all candidates is available should they want to review that information from the county clerk. And they're more than welcome to have a discussion with the chair regarding any of the candidates or the recommendation once it's been made. I mean, that seems to be a very transparent way. Everybody has access to the information, and absolutely the board chair needs to justify a recommendation. And everybody has the opportunity to discuss this ahead of time with the chair based on the information that's available from the county clerk. Done?
That sounds great.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I can argue with that. Oh, Supervisor Counter wants to argue with that.
No, I don't want to.
I'm just kidding. I recognize Supervisor Counter.
Actually, I just want to say that we also, though, put a timeline to it that any discussion involving contacting the chair should be made at least a week prior to any meeting so that we'd have time for reaction before you make the notice. Would that be fair? You don't want to have something so that we're ensuring that your timelines work for putting notice out, whatever that takes. Correct.
Yeah.
The agenda already has a 1 week publication requirement, so that's when the agendas go out. That's the 1 week right now. So are you suggesting anything different than that?
Yeah, it's not to change. Yeah, the 1 week is awesome, but what we need to do is say, hey, if you do have any questions, you need to have it before we're putting it on the agenda, or else it's going to be awfully difficult to make different arrangements after that point.
Corporation Counsel. What is the application cutoff time prior to the appointment date?
It's usually about 3 weeks prior.
County
3
clerk
weeks
is saying
prior?
3 weeks prior.
So we have a buffer zone between the 1 week for the agenda to be published and, okay. So I would go back to what Supervisor Long said. I would say let's go off of that unless there's any objection to that.
One question.
Yeah, Supervisor Shirley.
As we're looking for option or with options for this, is there a way or a mechanism that either the county board chair through the county clerk maybe could email the information out to the board rather than put it all on the on a board packet so that, you know, yes, people could open records request it. Yes, they could, but it's not just whoever applies is automatically on the on the agenda packet. It's only there if people request it otherwise. So then that may alleviate some of those questions that Corp Council had about people being skittish to apply because their information is just going to be out there automatically. Maybe it's just, is there a way that we could do that?
Okay, I recognize the county clerk, Christine Hines.
I think there was confusion on what the process is. I think what you were saying was that once the applications come in or the letters of interest come in, there's some way for the county clerk to distribute that to everyone to view or for them to request it to view. But I don't think it was ever the intention to put everybody's information in a packet. Correct? That everybody would have access to that information by the deadline, which is typically 3 weeks before the agenda comes out, therefore giving them that 3-week opportunity to discuss anything about any of those candidates with the chair before he meets with them to make his final decision, which is what the information would be in the packet, not everything. Is that correct?
I think that sounds like the spirit of what Supervisor Shirley is requesting, but I'll let him confirm that.
Yeah. I think that, you know, maybe just as easily as this, if we have a vacancy appointment that's coming up, maybe after, you know, if we have more than 5, whatever the final candidates are, if it's less than 5, when that determination is made, then maybe an email comes out from the clerk saying, these are the people that have applied. If you want more information, you can ask for it. But and then set up the timeline of what it is from there on out so that everybody knows who it is that applied. If they want the information, they can get it. If they don't ask for it, then that's on them.
That sounds like a blend of what Supervisor Shirley wanted, what basically Supervisor Long said. I think it's all kind of a combination of all of it. I don't know. I feel good about what this is. Heather, Corporation Counsel, do you got all that? Are you good?
Yes, I can't repeat it to you right now, but I will.
Okay.
I can draft something up for your review at the next meeting along with
Totally.
the other change.
Yeah. And Administrator Witt and I will review it prior to publishing the agenda. Okay. Are we good? Any other discussion on this? Realize I'm opening Pandora's box there. Okay. All right. Very cool. Awesome. Thank you all for that discussion. Number 6, resolution amending personnel policies, benefits. Audrey.
Thank you. So main changes here, we added a new disclaimer section, basically clarifying that the policy is just informational and it does not guarantee benefits or create contractual rights. It also specifies that benefit details are governed by plan documents, CBAs, and/or employment contracts, and that the county may modify those benefits in compliance with federal or state law at any time. We also just cleaned up a couple different areas, definitions, the tracking hours of service, and the effective date and coverage changes. And we removed the references to PTO and holiday pay throughout the policy. And then the main part was that we added a new section for our new income continuation insurance benefit, which replaced the previous long-term disability insurance.
Okay. Is there a motion to bring this forward?
I'd make a motion, oh, sorry. Thank you. I'd make a motion on the resolution amending personnel policies and benefits as drafted.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Long. Discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion is approved unanimously. Is there a request for any future agenda items? Any requests for future agenda items? Okay. Any announcements? Any announcements? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Supervisor Counter says Merry Christmas. All right. Any other announcements besides Christmas? Happy New Year? Question mark? I don't know. All right. Very cool. Date of next meeting is set for January 20th, 2026, and having all business items finished, we consider that adjourned.